The flickering light of a candle casts dancing shadows on the rough plaster walls. Around you, the sounds of nighttime Rome echo from within the narrow apartment building. Voices raised in laughter or anger drift from open doorways. The murmur of lovers' whispers drifts on the breeze, along with the scent of stale waste mingling with sweet baking bread. You shift on your pallet, tucking in closer to your sleeping sibling. Above you, the heavy timbered roof creaks rhythmically as if sharing secrets with the darkness. Welcome, traveler of time. Tonight, we will leave behind the world of electric lights and quiet rooms and temperature-controlled homes. Instead, we will slip gently into the shadows of the ancient city of Rome. We will climb its steep, narrow alleys, dodge the refuse thrown carelessly into the streets, and breathe deeply the mingled odors of humanity and waste. Here the air is thick with dust and sweat and stale urine. Here life teems in teeming masses. So brace yourself, traveler, for tonight we journey back to an urban ghetto, a timeless place of crowding poverty and dim oil lamplight. We journey to the heart of the insulae, the tall apartment blocks that crowded ancient Rome. Together, let us make our way through the dark of this foreign yet familiar world. Tonight we journey back to an ancient city with a modern problem, urban housing density. Now push open the heavy wooden door set into the entrance hall and step inside. The dim glow of several oil lamps hanging from hooks in the wall reveals a cramped entryway, a stubby stairway spiraling upward, and the backs of people standing and talking in the gloom. In front of you, the stairs rise abruptly from worn flagstones to a second-story landing. Narrow, uneven steps press against one another, and a sudden movement startles a fat rat that bolts across the shadowed hall. Behind you, the door closes with a thud, and you find yourself alone in a silent, narrow hallway, lit only by the faint glow seeping through cracks near the top of the door. You reach up to shield your eyes momentarily, and then begin making your way down the passage. Damp seeps through the cracks in the plaster walls, and the smell of stale waste hangs heavy in the close space. Now a crack appears on the left, letting in a sliver of lamplight and the murmur of voices. You pass by it quickly, however, and continue on until you reach the end of the hallway. Straight ahead, the stairs spiral downward toward the street. To the right, a dark doorway stands open, revealing a glimpse of a courtyard bathed in moonlight. Beyond it, the murmur of a fountain playing somewhere deep within the tenement's heart. From here, the muffled sound of street life echoes softly through the building, blending with the murmur of neighbors' voices. Turning back, you retrace your path until you stand once more in the dim oil lamplight of the entryway. As you look about, a dozen doorways line the wall around you, and some stand open, revealing glimpses of domestic life played out under dim oil lamplight. Here, an old man dozes in a doorway, while a young girl stirs a pot hanging over a small brazier. Nearby, a cobbler sits cross-legged, mending a sandal at the base of a stairwell. Somewhere a cat cries plaintively. Someone practices scales on a hollow tube of reed, the notes echoing oddly in the confined space. And from somewhere else comes the sound of a woman singing softly to a child. Your own home lies just ahead, just beyond the curve of the stairs. Taking a deep breath, you straighten your shoulders, raise your oil lamp aloft, and begin climbing the stairs. Each step groans under your weight, and you can hear your ascent echoing above you from those living on higher floors. You count the risers steadily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, 23, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 30, 34, 35. You reach the top of the stairs, blinking in the sudden brightness of two oil lamps hanging from hooks in the wall. And now you stand in your neighborhood, your vicus, the ancient Roman equivalent of a modern inner-city neighborhood. All around you, similar narrow entryways lead into other tenement buildings like this one, a human hive bursting at the seams. Pushing open the doors, you enter a bustling thoroughfare, choked with tightly packed tenements. On either side of the road, laundry lines sway overhead, and the clack of a passing cart echoes off the tight walls. Before you, vendors hawk their wares, and their voices blend with the murmur of passers-by. You step lightly over refuse, tossed carelessly onto the ground, and weave between pedestrians walking their dogs. Carrying jars of olive oil or peddling fish fresh caught that morning in the Tiber River, making your way down the road, you reach a corner and veer left. Ahead, the road narrows into a tunnel formed by towering tenements reaching for the sky. Even here, On the sun-drenched streets of ancient Rome, the shade offers blessed relief from the midday heat. Soon, however, the buildings give way, and you step out into a small courtyard surrounded by tenements on 3 sides and a low wall on the 4th. In the center stands a square basin filled with fresh water, and a shallow fountain trickles into the pool. From here you can see your home clearly for the first time, just one of many structures crowding the courtyard. Clusters of one-room apartments open onto the area, each one filled with the sights and sounds of daily life. Here, children play near the fountain, splashing happily in the shallow water. Nearby, an old woman squats sorting lentils, while a group of men gather around a table discussing politics while they eat grapes. Across the way, a woman scrubs soiled garments at a stone basin, the rhythmic slap of water mingling with the clucking of a hen held safely in her arms. The drone of a bee, the cry of a child, and the strumming of a lyre fill the air. And from somewhere within the labyrinth of insulae, the sharp bark of a dog mixes with the murmur of a nearby stream. Glancing back toward the narrow street, you see a tanner working at his craft. Nearby, a stone fountain sends water spraying into the air. Down the street, a group of boys chase a stray dog while a haunch of roasted pork hangs from a butcher's hook. On another street, a group of women chat animatedly as they hang up freshly laundered tunics. On a nearby rooftop, a lone man tends a beehive, carefully smoking the angry insects. From above, the call of a muezzin, reciting the hour of prayer, floats down from a nearby mosque. And somewhere else, the blare of a trumpet mingles with the clank of hammers on metal. As you watch, a procession of priests passes by, their white robes flashing in the sunlight. Turning back toward the insula, you recognize your family's friends and neighbors, all struggling to build a life in the ancient city. Now, remembering your errand, you start toward the gate set into the courtyard wall. Beyond it, the clamor of the city awaits. Here in the courtyard, life ebbs and flows like the tides of the sea, a constant rhythm of activity. Here, your days begin and end. The needs of your family drive you out each morning before dawn to seek work, begging, scavenging, trading, doing whatever you can to survive. When the sun sets, you return home, hoping to find peace in the cramped safety of your insula. But too often, restlessness and fear pervade the narrow hallways and stairwells, and the weight of the world presses down on you as you try to sleep. Each night, the same worries haunt you. Will the rain come tonight and turn your world to mud? Will your roof hold, or will it collapse, trapping you beneath fallen timbers? Will your child wake feverish in the night? And will you have a poultice ready to ease the pain? Will your neighbor scream again, waking you from a rare moment of slumber? Will you or your children find work tomorrow? Will you have enough to eat? Will you have enough to sell? For in this ancient city, life is hard. But the city goes on, and you have learned to go on with it. So take a deep breath, traveler, and let us linger here a while longer in this timeless place. Let us sit on a nearby stone fountain and watch the ebb and flow of the endless tide of humanity around us. Let us stay a little longer in this place where life is hard, but hope flickers still. Then, when you are ready, we will pack our bags and walk the ancient streets once more. And now, let us quietly leave the alleyway and the flickering oil lamp. Let us turn our gaze toward a different kind of Roman. Not a tenant, but a man seated awkwardly on the throne of an empire. A man born underestimated, and yet a man who would leave his mark on aqueducts, law, and history itself. He was not the loudest in the room, nor the most athletic, nor even the most confident. He often stood at the edges of conversations, a man with a limp and a stammer, awkward in court, sometimes mocked by his own family. He was considered weak, unfit, and unlikely. A shadow lingering behind brighter, more dangerous stars. And yet, Claudius, the man once hidden behind curtains during public events, would one day wear the laurel crown of emperor. He would survive where others fell, not through brute strength or dramatic ambition, but through patience, caution, maybe a little luck too. Let us begin, not with his rise, but with his obscurity. Tiberius Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, known simply as Claudius, was born in 10 BCE, into the powerful Julio-Claudian dynasty. He was the great-nephew of Augustus, Rome's first emperor, and the uncle of the infamous Caligula.
Outly.
From a young age, Claudius suffered from what we would now call physical disabilities: a stammer, a limp, facial tics. In the brutal world of Roman politics, where appearance meant strength and deformity was feared, he was largely kept out of public life. His family saw him as an embarrassment, but in the quiet shadows of political life, Claudius developed a sharp and curious mind. While others fought for power and glory, Claudius read. He studied history, languages, law. He watched. And perhaps most importantly, he survived. The early emperors, Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, all operated in an empire that seethed beneath the marble. Betrayals, poisonings, quiet executions. It was a dangerous court. One did not need to be guilty to be sentenced. They only needed to be seen. Claudius, ignored and underestimated, was not seen. That was his safety. But fate or chance would soon turn its gaze toward him. In 41 CE, Emperor Caligula was assassinated by his own guards. The Praetorian Guard, Rome's elite soldiers, needed a new leader quickly. In the chaos, they found Claudius, reportedly hiding behind a curtain. Whether they saw in him a puppet or a compromise, they declared him emperor. And just like that, a man once dismissed as a fool became ruler of the known world. Claudius, now in his 50s, stepped into power with caution. He was not a soldier, but he secured the loyalty of the army. He was not a showman, but he understood bureaucracy. He knew how Rome worked beneath its surface. His reign surprised many. He completed massive infrastructure projects, aqueducts that still survive. He reformed the legal system, presiding personally over court cases. He expanded the empire, including the ambitious invasion of Britannia, establishing Roman presence across the Channel. But Claudius' court was far from peaceful. He married 4 times. His third wife, Messalina, is remembered in scandal and suspicion, accused of betrayal, of affairs, of plotting. Claudius ordered her death. Quietly, he did not announce it with flourish. It simply happened. Later, he married Agrippina the Younger, his niece. It was a political union, not one of affection. Agrippina had a son, Nero, and here history begins to shift once more. Claudius adopted Nero, raising him alongside his own biological son, Britannicus. But Agrippina was ambitious. She placed Nero in the spotlight. She maneuvered carefully, positioning her son as heir. In 54 CE, Claudius died. The official story claimed it was illness. Ancient whispers suggested otherwise. Poisoned mushrooms, perhaps. A quiet end, a soft betrayal. The kind that leaves little evidence and fewer tears. He was succeeded by Nero, a boy king whose story would be loud, chaotic, and marked by fire. But Claudius, his memory is quieter. He was not the hero of marble statues, nor the tyrant of blood-soaked scrolls. He was something else entirely. An underestimated survivor, a ruler of paradox, a scholar on a throne. His legacy lies not in conquest or cruelty, but in stability. In clean water flowing through stone aqueducts. In roads built to last. In laws written with a careful hand. And in that, perhaps, he left something more enduring than power. And now, let us descend again, this time into the hidden torchlit chambers beneath Rome's bustling streets. Beneath temples, beneath homes, where an ancient cult worshipped in secret, their symbols carved in shadow, or mysteries left behind, never fully explained. Certainly, we now move quietly from the stone arches of public works and the calculated caution of an emperor into a more shadowed realm, into mystery, ritual, and forgotten belief. Our journey continues not in the daylight of the Forum, but in the torchlight of secret chambers beneath the very feet of ancient Rome. Beneath the bustling city, under the shops, the homes, the bathhouses, lie chambers carved into the earth, not tombs, not cellars, but something far more curious. These are Mithraea, underground temples, dedicated to a god now nearly forgotten. A god once worshipped by Roman soldiers, merchants, and freedmen, but almost never mentioned in public records. A god who left behind no sacred texts, no known scripture, only images, symbols, ritual spaces cut from silence. Mithras, he stands at the center of these dimly lit sanctuaries, frozen in a single strange act, slaying a bull with his gaze turned away. This scene, called the tauroctony, appears in temple after temple, carved with great care. Around him are animals, a dog, a snake, a raven, scorpion pinching the bull's genitals. It is a tableau dense with meaning, though no one alive today can say for certain what that meaning was. Let us imagine now, as softly as one might descend into sleep, that you are being led into a Mithraeum. The air is cool and dry. The scent is of earth and old stone. You move through a narrow corridor, and then into a vaulted chamber, long, low, and dim. Along the sides are stone benches. You would sit among a small group, rarely more than a dozen, men, all sworn to secrecy. The light comes from oil lamps, perhaps a small fire in a brazier. The shadows flicker across frescoes and statues, Mithras emerging from a rock, shaking hands with the sun god's soul riding his celestial chariot. The atmosphere is hushed, reverent, like entering a different kind of world. Mithraism was a mystery religion. That means its rituals, its beliefs, its initiation rites were not shared outside the circle. What we know today, we've pieced together like broken pottery, from inscriptions, from underground layouts, from worn sculptures still buried beneath churches and homes. Initiates passed through 7 ranks: raven, bridegroom, soldier, lion, Persian, courier of the sun, and finally, father, each with its own symbolic meaning, likely involving tests of strength, endurance, or spiritual discipline. What is most striking is how widespread this cult became. From Britain to Syria, Mithraea have been found, often near military sites. This was a religion of mobility, of brotherhood, perhaps of resilience. Its god born from stone, slayer of the bull, may have represented cosmic order, the struggle of light and darkness, the turning of the stars. In some Mithraea, the ceilings are painted with zodiac signs. Some scholars believe the whole ritual drama reflected a journey through the heavens, but we can never be sure. Mithras himself never speaks. Unlike Christianity, which grew during the same centuries and eventually flourished, Mithraism remained private, exclusive. It did not welcome women, it did not seek mass conversion. It left no gospel. When the tides of history shifted, when emperors embraced the cross, Mithraism simply faded. The temples were sealed, many were destroyed, others were repurposed, transformed into storage rooms, or buried entirely under new construction, and yet some survived, not as places of worship, but as time capsules. If you visit one today, like the Mithraeum beneath San Clemente in Rome, you step through layers of time, through the Christian church, down into the medieval ruins, and further still, into the Roman earth, into a space once lit only by torchlight, where the echoes of chants may still linger if you listen long enough. It is a strange feeling to stand in a place once sacred, to not know why. But that is the nature of history. Some truths vanish, like breath on glass. Others endure, carved in stone. And so Mithras remains, silent, mysterious, a god of secrets. Now, let us rise once more from the underground, from mystery to marble, from shadows to sunlight. Our journey brings us to the other side of Roman life, the luxurious, orchestrated world of those who lived not in tenements or temples, but in opulent villas, with fountains and feasts, and a daily rhythm ruled not by labor, but by leisure. Certainly. Let us now drift upward, from the darkness of hidden sanctuaries to the soft gleam of polished marble, the cool shade of inner courtyards, and the soft rustle of silk robes. The final chapter in tonight's journey brings us to a different kind of Roman life, one not shaped by struggle or secrecy, but by ritual, refinement, and the gentle performance of status. It is just past the 9th hour late afternoon, and the house is beginning to stir in a particular way. The servants have been quietly preparing since morning. Fresh garlands are being hung, scented oils warmed gently in clay pots, cushions fluffed and aligned. The atrium has been swept twice, and incense curls upward in thin, steady lines. You are the host this evening, a Roman patrician, born into the upper ranks of society, and tonight you are entertaining. A convivium, a formal dinner, part ritual, part pleasure, part unspoken diplomacy. To dine well in Rome is to show who you are without needing to say it. The triclinium. The formal dining room is the heart of the evening. 3 couches form a U-shape around a low table. Each guest reclines on their left side, leaving the right hand free to eat. You lie back, supported by cushions embroidered in red and bronze. The walls are painted with mythological scenes: Achilles, Bacchus, Venus rising from the sea. The feast is served in courses, slowly, carefully, without rush. First, the gustaccio appetizers. Olives soaked in herbs. Hard-boiled eggs with pine nut sauce. Honeyed dates stuffed with almonds. The wine is poured, often mixed with water and sometimes with spices. It is cool, diluted, and calming, meant for long sipping, not quick indulgence. Conversation begins gently. Poets recite lines. Philosophers quote old maxims. There are jokes, but carefully measured. Everyone watches everyone else. To speak too much, or too little, is a kind of faux pas. Reputation is the true main course. Then the prima mensa, the main dishes. Peacock, perhaps, or dormice, roasted and stuffed. Fatty cuts of pork glazed with honey and vinegar. Fish from distant shores served whole. Each dish is seasoned with sauces. Fermented fish sauce, garam being the most common, its scent is unmistakable. Pungent, salty, ancient. The air is filled with a mixture of warmth, perfume, and distant music. A lyre, perhaps, or a flute, played softly by a hired musician in the corner. Dancers may perform modestly, unless the evening turns rowdier. Between courses, slaves bring bowls of water and cloths for cleaning hands. The Roman elite eat with fingers delicately. Knives are rarely needed. Food is cut beforehand, served in morsels just large enough to show off the cook's skill, but not so large as to embarrass the diner. Then comes the secunda mensa, dessert, figs, cheese drizzled with honey, candied fruits, sweet wine, nuts, a quiet sweetness to end the evening. It's light, fragrant, and meant to linger. Some hosts end the feast with discussion of politics, literature, the stars. Others let the wine flow more freely. The mood may shift, voices may rise. But the best evenings, the ones remembered, are the ones with balance, harmony between pleasure and restraint. At the end, guests are escorted out with soft words and parting gifts. Small items, tokens, gestures of wealth and generosity. The night folds in on itself. The house dims again. And as you recline alone, now with sandals removed, and the cushions cool beneath you, the world seems very still. Outside, the tenements creak. The streets echo faintly. Somewhere, a lamp sputters. But here, behind painted walls, and beneath a ceiling of cedar beams, it is silent. You do not fear the night. You are a patrician of Rome.